3,000 years ago, Kalos engaged in one of the deadliest wars in Pokemon history, if not the deadliest. We see the fallout of this war a little bit in Pokemon X and Y. We see how people try to recreate the ultimate weapon that Kalos used to end the war to use again on humanity. We see how AZ and his Floette were separated because of AZ's actions at the end of this war. But was that all of the effects of this war? I mean, surely the repercussions of firing this ultimate weapon onto another region had to have some effects, right? Well, yeah, they did. And we're going to be finding a lot more about that in November. But let's get into it right now. What's going on, guys? I'm Zach from the Lumiose Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon. And today, we will be talking about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and how it has been heavily impacted by Pokemon X and Y. Or rather, I should say, we are talking about the Paldea region and how it has been heavily impacted in its culture and the way things are going on there by the war that they had with Kalos 3,000 years ago. Now, your first instinct, I'm sure, is to say, now, wait a minute, Lumi. We don't know that Kalos was at war with Paldea. We don't know that. And you're right. But that's what a theory is. It's theorizing stuff, okay? So, bear with me here. It's very often that nations, when they go to war with neighboring nations. Now, of course, this isn't exclusive, but it happens a lot. I mean, in the real world, Spain and France were at each other's throats for, like, all of history. The United States of America has even had wars with Mexico. And, I mean, there's been all kinds of other situations where there's been wars with neighboring countries. I mean, it's how we get to these points where we have things like South Korea and North Korea, which used to just be Korea. But anyways, it's no different here. Kalos went to war with their neighbor, Paldea, which, yeah, I'm assuming it's their neighbor because that's how it lines up in the real world. We have France, and Spain is connected to it with the Pyrenees Mountains bordering the two. So it's very likely that that's the case in the Pokemon world as well. And it's very likely that these were the two that went to war. So let's go back 3,000 years ago. Let's pull out our Celebi and have it time travel us back to the past. Okay, so here we are 3,000 years into the past, and it's desperate. This war has been going on a while. People and Pokemon have perished from this war, and now AZ's Floette has fallen. That's the final straw. So AZ creates this ultimate weapon, and he fires it onto their neighbors, Paldea, and it hits Paldea right in the center, which is surely going to cause shockwaves that will end all life on Paldea pretty much, and it's going to have repercussions. So let's get into what those repercussions are. Well, we know looking at Paldea that there will be some time shenanigans going on. We can see this just by the professors. One looks like she's dressed as a caveman. The other one looks like he's come from the Tron universe. Same with the Legends too. Again, one looks like it's come from the Tron universe. One looks like it's come from the Flintstones universe. So, I mean, it's very likely that time shenanigans will be going on here. And what I'm proposing is that this thing in the middle of the Paldea region, this massive crater, is in fact a time storm. All those clouds swirling around kind of looks like a hurricane, right? It's a time storm, and it was caused by all of this infinite energy from the ultimate weapon hitting Paldea and just, causing this massive time storm. And it was fine for a little while. It was fine. It caused some problems, but the time storm was relatively calm. There's just some clouds, some lightning there. Don't go near there, they say, because, it's a weird place. There's constant storms. And then we go to the events of the present day in Pokemon X and Y. Lysander fires the ultimate weapon again. Now, this time, it does only fire up and come back down and hit the ultimate weapon itself. So it doesn't, cause massive death and destruction. But that was still a large amount of infinite energy shot up into the sky. It's so high we see it go into space. and then come back down and smack the earth, right? Well, given that Kalos is Paldea's neighbor, that might have been just enough to awaken that time storm, leading into the events of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, where Koraidon or Miraidon and Professor Seda and Professor Turo, depending on your version, is going to waltz out of that time storm. Probably not literally waltz. They don't seem like they're that funny. They probably just walked out. But still, point is, they just came out of that time storm, which was awakened by the plot of Pokemon X and Y. And so we're going to be dealing with the fallout of that in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Now, that's cool and all, but there's so much more. There's so much more. But in order to figure out what more there is, we have to look at the ultimate weapon and its basis in real life. So, let's go back to the real world, but only about 80 years into the past. So, unless you are living under a rock, or you are a Holocaust denier, which, in that case, yikes, you may know that 80 years ago, we had a massive world war. It was called World War II, and it culminated with the Allied powers, the United States specifically, launching Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which were the first atomic bombs. And these are made of nuclear energy, and they ended the war real quick, but they also can cause really bad problems. I mean, to this day, there hasn't been a war on that scale since, because everybody knows that every country would just pull out these nukes and it would be mutually assured destruction. Everyone would be facing nuclear bombs, and they're not good. This is what the ultimate weapon is based off of. A massive weapon of destruction, and it also is one that was used to end a war, and specifically win a war. So, we have to look at what the fallout is from the real-world nuclear bombs. Well, we know that if you look at places like Chernobyl, nuclear radiation can cause really, really bad issues. You know, not only can it, humans can't even withstand it. You have to wear a hazmat suit in Chernobyl, but also it's affected the wildlife. People find things like three-eyed fish and stuff from the waters in Chernobyl, and there's been like two-headed deer, I'm pretty sure. I mean, there's been all kinds of freak things to walk out of Chernobyl because of all the radiation that exists there from when that nuclear power plant kind of malfunctioned, and, you know, that radiation got where it wasn't supposed to get. So, it's probably very likely that the ultimate weapon is going to have some similar fallout. So what happens? Okay, well, again, 3,000 years into the past, ultimate weapon hits Paldea. That infinite energy spreads throughout the land. Now, Pokemon are able to do this thing where they have, you know, their regular type, like, say, the starter Pokemon Quaxley, he's a water type, but he also has this thing now called a Terra type. And let's say in this scenario, it's a grass-type Terra type. So Quaxley can now, through activating it with probably some other source of infinite energy, like the ball we see the trainers using to activate it, Quaxley can activate this Terra type and basically access a hidden gene that this infinite energy brought out. What I'm saying is terastalizing came from the ultimate weapon striking Paldea 3,000 years ago. It's why it's such a big part of their culture now, is it's kind of their Geosinge town, right? It's their memorial of this great war, and thankfully it's not a bad thing, right? You know, it's not something that's going to cause cancer or other terrible, terrible illnesses or genetic mishaps. It's just a thing that the Pokemon can do, and it even kind of makes battles more fun. So it's the culture celebrates it. It's why we see references to the terastalizing gimmick all throughout Mesa Goza, the main city in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. The reason they're celebrating it is because, hey, we got nuked, and it could have been a lot worse. You know, it's something to celebrate, right? We got this great thing from a really bad thing. It could have been so much worse. You know, it's much better than that time storm in the middle of the region, right? It's just a fun little thing where the Pokemon go crystal and wear funny party hats. Which, on that note, let's talk about that. the crystallizing. Pokemon, when terastallizing, take on this more crystalline appearance, and yes, of course, like I said, they get party hats, and those party hats get a more crystalline appearance as well. But what else was crystalline? The ultimate weapon. Look at it as we see it in Pokemon X and Y. It's very crystalline because it's made of that infinite energy. It's got it surging through it. So again, terastallizing coming from infinite energy, specifically from this crystalline looking ultimate weapon, not that crazy. But yeah, so to quickly recap, the ultimate weapon 3,000 years ago, it created terastallizing as well as a time storm that was relatively calm, and terastallizing became a thing celebrated in the Paldea region. But then in the present day, they fire one more ultimate weapon, Lysander and Team Flare do, and that infinite energy hitting Earth once again is enough to awaken that time storm, bringing us Professor Sada, Professor Turo, Koraidon, Miraidon, and who knows what else. I guess we'll find out in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So yeah, be sure to let me know in the comments below what you think of this theory. This was a really fun one to make. I think this is my favorite theory I've made. So absolutely in love with this. And be sure to also like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so that we can have more fun theories. And I know you guys like it, and you're here so you can see it, and you have that bell hit so you get notified when it comes up. You want to stay up to date on all that fun stuff. Until next time, I will see all of you later.